Welcome back once again to the You Should Get a License podcast, your number one source for information, education, and inspiration on the most underrated career opportunity in business today. I mean, for our guests, I think I should say the most underrated business opportunity or the most underrated industry, in business today, because the reality is, someone who has accomplished what this gentleman has accomplished. It's transcended just kind of career job, but has really built a legacy in this business, one that continues to perpetuate not only with the impact and strides that he's made with other professionals, but also throughout his family as well. We're talking about an OG, a true OG in the biz, 40 years, nationwide, coast to coast, the Chief Operations Officer of National Insurance Consultants, Mr. Herman Ross. Mr. Ross. I'm gonna say Mr. Ross. Mr. Ross, welcome to the platform. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and thanks for making me feel my age. I really appreciate it. It's a blessing to be here with you, Rod, and it's been a blessing ever since we met. Our energy and our synergy together is hopefully helping some people, and I want to compliment you on your podcast and all of the things that you're doing for the industry and for people to learn more about our industry, because you just said it. 40 years here. I can't believe 40 years. Can't believe that I've been in insurance this long, but let alone our firm being 30 years old, starting in next September.
Love it. Congratulations, first and foremost, on everything you've accomplished. Every time I chat with you, I'm inspired, I'm motivated, even before we started recording, and you telling me the things that are still going on to this day that I hope we can dig into a little bit and share a little bit more of. But man, I from the gentleman of the insurance industry to what you're doing with NIC, it's just phenomenal. And the impact is certainly felt and acknowledged and appreciated. So thank you for your contributions. Speaking of contributions, as we start to kick this conversation off, this platform really speaks to the different market segments that we have inside of this business. Because people have, they could be. They could have P&C, kind of as their lead or their foundational product conversation. They can have life, retirement planning. You're in the I know you do a little bit of you kind of encompass all of those things, but you have a space that we don't see a large amount of minority presence in, which is employee benefits. I would love for you to just speak to what NIC does on a day-to-day, kind of what your firm specializes in and the conversations that you're having in this industry.
I appreciate that. And thanks for the introduction. And one of the things about NICI, National Insurance Consultants, Inc., is that we are one of the full service commercial independent insurance agencies. So we reach across both the property and casualty and the employee benefit side, group benefits, and truly a commercial agency. We don't do any personal lines. That's different than most. We provide services mainly to cities, municipalities, transit systems, and the big five brokerage houses. So we work with all of the big boys, Aon, Willis, Marsh, Lockton, Gallagher, and we've supported them on projects that they bid on. That's been our big piece and our big where our real funds that we generate and our revenue that we generate. One of the main things about our agency is we're leaning internally, but we actually have employees on projects, on specific projects. And as we just discussed, we're learning new things by adding new products and services, like our current contract with one of the largest firms, to do on-site open enrollment meetings, which historically our team would be just 3 or 4 of us going to the transit systems and doing it. But now having to work with one of the largest brokerage houses and doing one of the largest casino owned firms, there's 60,000 employees. We had to spread that out and hire temporary people pretty much for the first time on site doing open enrollment meetings. And I think that what I wanted to start today with is how blessed we've been to be able to educate those employees that historically don't get educated about their benefits, and in particular, the cost of life insurance when you're in a group. You need to buy that 50,000. It's guaranteed issue. You
Absolutely.
you get 100,000. You need to buy that because it's guaranteed issue, and you get to take that with you when you leave at those rates. And just to have young 25-year-old kids that would go, really? I get to take this. That's all $5 a month? Really? Yeah, because you're 25. Now, when I turn around and I tell the 65-year-old person, it costs you $50 a month.
Yeah.
Oh, I already got that, right? But it's just one of the big keys that we learned, and my wife and our team, and we're led by Katrina. Katrina Wilson Ross is the new CEO. I founded the company in Las Vegas in '94. We merged our firms in 2010, 2011, and now she became the new CEO, and I stepped down and became the COO, which was one of my smartest things I did besides marrying.
Absolutely, I was like, of course, right.
And we've grown substantially since then. But I think one of the big things, and I've learned, Rod, you and I talked about this. I learn every day something new in this industry, and why you should get a license in insurance is really what that acronym you started with this podcast is so true, because you never stop learning.
Yeah.
There's something new in this industry every day. And I learned a lot just in the last 3 weeks working on this very large group.
Yeah. Learning or earning. Learning or
Amen.
Earning. It's twofold. We don't want people to think, hey, you're just going to learn and that's all you're getting. There's something else that's behind that. It's for a reason. It's so you can apply. And it's also so you can make that impact. I'm so glad that you mentioned the fact that you have the opportunity to educate people who may not otherwise have access to this information, because it is so important to have. I know I have my thoughts around, why people need to take more than 5 minutes, to choose their benefit plans and such. But I would love to hear, from you, being someone who is immersed in that space on a large level. That's where I started my career, so I really have an affinity for it. But someone who is really doing it significantly, what's your take on people paying attention and really understanding and the value of being educated about the benefits that you're choosing for yourself and your family from your job?
The client, whoever that happens to be, is purchasing your insurance coverages for you, and you're paying a small amount compared to what they pay. That's the first thing I want to let everybody know. Yeah. When you have group insurance, they are supporting you as an employee. Yeah, you're paying a premium, but if you had to go buy that insurance out on the streets, that's the first thing I want everybody to know. Don't complain about the fact that you have a good job and that they're paying a portion of your benefits. But I think the second thing, Rod, is the knowledge of the products themselves. Knowing what the difference between a health maintenance organization, HMO, or a PPO preferred provider organization, and being educated on that. I think one of the downfalls of what we discovered, and why I didn't mention who this very large client is a lot of their HR team aren't aware of those things we just said. Okay. They don't know the difference between that. So they kind of need not just enrollers, they need licensed people on hand to discuss that with them. Right. And then the part about the life insurance that I just brought to fruition here was, you're going to get discounted pricing for life insurance that is portable, meaning when you leave there, you can take it with you. And as most people don't know, the only thing that outperforms insurance is real estate.
With more risk.
With more risk, correct.
Yeah. And
if you are really leaving a footprint or leaving something for someone behind you that can help them grow, build wealth, it's in life insurance. And if you can purchase it through your group insurance, I think that's one of the most important things that we've learned and want to pass on to to people, whether it be in a group situation or individuals.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially that portability piece, and a lot of times, it can be guaranteed issues. So if someone has, cancer, heart disease, stroke, kidney disease, whatever, they can still qualify for. I mean, this stuff is crucially important. I remember, my time being really immersed in the work site and hearing and learning that, medical bankruptcy is the number one cause of bankruptcy in the country, because a lot of times you just don't understand it, and you need to make sure that you're fully covered. Actually, you said something that I'll bring back up, where there's a difference between, having insurance and being properly covered by that insurance.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's a big key, because sometimes you just go out and you buy it because somebody told you to buy it,
Mm-hmm.
versus learning what you're purchasing. And
Yep.
the portability and the guarantee issue when it comes to group insurance, those are, to me, the most important things. Okay. You leave, you take this with you at that rate that you purchased it at. And then the fact that it's guaranteed issue at certain levels, depending on the size of the group, from 15,000 to 100,000. It could be that something happens to you, you're no longer here. That 100 grand can go pay down that note on the house. It can save somebody to keep the house. So those kind of things are what we really emphasize through these last 3 weeks of open enrollment. It's been what we've informed our enrollers, whether they're licensed or not. Make sure you advise them that they need a beneficiary, even on the one that the employer pays for.
Yeah.
Because if you don't name someone as a beneficiary, then that company paid for you to have life insurance, and now you didn't name a beneficiary, so it may go back to them instead of going to who you wish it to go to. So these are some keys that I know we were able to help people so far, and we're still working on this group for the next couple of weeks. But it's been very beneficial and eye-opening to us as the owners, as the team that we brought on board, to emphasize the knowledge of those products that the company's paying for, and to make sure you have your beneficiaries in place, and that you purchase whatever the guarantee issue was.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I did want to, kind of pick your brain on your expertise and hear those things, and I appreciate you sharing that bit, and for everyone, like, if you're listening to this, you may not already be in the industry. You might be thinking about getting into the industry, or if you're an existing professional and you're working with an organization, you might be working on the PNC side of the business and just kind of, learning about other sides, or you might be working on the individual life side and, just hearing about this work site side, because there's a difference between that life underwriting on the individual side and on the group side. But what I want to say overarching is, it's so important wherever you are, even if you're working in this industry, to pay attention to those benefit options that you have. So if you're working in a corporate environment, pay attention. If you're independent and you're getting your coverages through the exchange, or you're going private, make sure you pay attention to those coverages, because listen, they can make a big difference in the outcomes of your life. We're talking about risk management. Listen, generational wealth is a big conversation nowadays. Risk management is where generational wealth begins.
And ends.
And ends.
And ends.
And ends.
Okay? And that's the big key right there. And, Katrina made some comments while we were out on the road, that educating is primarily the things we're doing.
Yes.
Well, yeah, okay, we get paid to do this. We get paid to do this. But for those people that don't have that knowledge, it is not, our job doesn't just start with doing the open enrollment meetings. Our job finishes with us educating those individuals that we meet that these are the options you have, and these are the things that we would recommend you make sure you take a look at. Make sure you have the beneficiaries, making sure your kids' social security numbers are in there, making sure that you have every dependent that you have covered, because you never know. And one thing is for sure, we're not given tomorrow. And if somebody knows how we are given tomorrow, please let me know so we can, okay, because I believe in the fact that education comes first. Our kids, and through this industry, we've been blessed with the fact that all four of our kids went to college. We had no clue that afterwards all four would want to join us in insurance.
Hmm.
But this industry gave us the opportunity to educate and train our kids, and to get them into good colleges.
Yeah.
So that's a big key to what that funding could do for you if you have a life policy with your company that they pay the premium for. It could be that first year of tuition. It could be whatever is necessary for you as that beneficiary to work on. So I think one of the main things that we have learned is education and training is really needed, in particular in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Getting a license in this industry can take you through legacies.
Listen, I want to take a minute, and I think this is a perfect segue into the next question that I actually have for you, because I want to detour for a moment. And you just talked about your children and being able to send them to college, and not really even knowing that they would choose to enter the industry and kind of follow in you and Ms. Rawls' footsteps. But I want to ask you, if you went back, let's go all the way back to a 9-year-old, 10-year-old Herman Ross. What were you dreaming of doing when you grew up, when you became an adult? What were you thinking about doing?
I've always been involved in politics, even from a young age, because my mom was. And being the president of a school and high school, and then also in the junior college, I always thought I was going to be the first president of color. I always did. That was my whole thing. Was I was so entrenched in politics my whole life.
Wow.
And still am. I've been working on both sides of the current two parties that are out there, and work with different politicians nationwide. Still do. And that's really what I thought I was going to be. I was going to run for office. And then in Las Vegas, one of my mentors ran for office, won, became city councilman, was going to run for mayor. And he goes, "Don't you ever do this. You stay exactly doing what you do. Okay, because your temperament is not going to allow for people to understand that the straightness and the type of guy you are and the things you say aren't realistically meant to hurt people." So that's a big key for us, and how we have really grown as individuals and grown as a firm, is really how we are reaching and teaching other people that. But for me, I'm now a different type of politician. How's that?
Right.
I like the politics of the gentleman of insurance. Okay.
That's right. We're still shaking hands and kissing.
Exactly.
So, so you mentioned, having political aspirations as a youth, and continuing to grow. What did you study in college? What did you major in college?
Business management, business law. Yeah.
Business law. At that point, you said, "Hey, this is the road I'm on is politics." Yeah. How'd you end up going to insurance? Like, where did the insurance happen? How did that intersection happen?
I was walking through campus, and there was a job fair, and a young lady was packing everything up, and, "Hey, I've got one more card that needs to be signed." "Okay, what is this?" "It's a job fair. It's Hartford Insurance." I said, "Okay, well, all right, I'm done doing what I was doing. I maybe might as well sign this and figure it out." And the rest is history, because Hartford was recruiting pretty much people to look like us at that time, and that was in 1982. And you go back and you think about that. Okay, so Hartford Insurance Group at that time was on a campus recruiting, and specifically had a female that looked like us, recruiting people that look like us
on that campus.
And that was in Orange County, California. And at that time, I really needed to make a decision. And when I received the notification that Hartford wanted to interview me, in about 3 weeks, I was in Hartford, Connecticut. It just happened to be November. And here's a brother from California going, "Are you kidding me? It's cold here."
Yeah.
And they actually did we did a 6-week stint of learning how to rate and underwrite insurance policies.
Wow.
And the next thing you know, I was came back home to California, and I went to Walnut Creek, where their other West Coast facility was, and I learned underwriting and rating. And the next thing I know, I'm working on Wilshire Boulevard at Hartford for the first 3 years of my career.
Wow. Wow. Now, and I know you like the warm weather because you're in Dallas, Fort Worth area now.
Exactly, that's correct. That's
Not to
correct.
be confused with Plano, because somebody that happened to me before. I said, like, Plano, right? No, it's not Plano.
It's not Plano. It's not Frisco. It's DFW, Dallas Fort Worth.
Make sure you got it right. But you have your offices are spread out. So your the home office where you launched your firm is in Nevada. So okay, so take me through the journey of you started with the Hartford. You became a rater there. You know, you're working. You're underwriter. Eventually,
Correct.
you're underwriter there.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What is your journey in Hartford that ultimately leads you into NICI?
It's interesting you asked that question, because I look back on my career, and I was hot headed. And there was a position that was open in Hartford, marketing rep, that I was going to travel and get a car and do all of those things. And I applied for it. And, this is for almost my 4th year. And they hired someone right out of UCLA, and I wasn't real happy about it. And
Mm.
I went in and said, "Oh, you guys hired somebody over me?" And "How we hire somebody over you? We didn't hire anybody over you. We selected a different candidate." And I looked for a job. I went to work for Aetna. I didn't like Aetna. I went to work for AIG. While I was at AIG, an agent came that pretty much was one of their largest agents, and said, "How would you come? How would you like to come and run my agency?" Hmm. Okay, that sounds interesting. And it was happened to be in Glendale, California, and it was a small agency that realistically they hired someone who had knowledge of property and casualty and claims, and that was my background at that time.
Mm.
And then I was offered a job by that same gentleman to move to Las Vegas, and that was in 1989. I took that position, and then I went to work for a very large agency that was at the middle of helping put the funding together and the insurance together for the Rio. As you know, Marnell Correo, Tony Marnell was the owner and builder and financier at that time. And one of my bosses was one of his close friends. And then I was able to come in, and they were just group benefits. I had the knowledge and the markets to do the property and casualty. Um, they had a major partnership split, and I took the PNC business and started National Insurance Consultants in 1994. And then a gentleman, one of my mentors, Frank Hawkins, former Oakland Raider, city council member, suggested to me that I get my disadvantaged business enterprise certification, because one thing that people don't know is that Las Vegas in 1993, the buses went up and down the strip, and they never went anywhere else in the town.
Mm.
93. And I wasn't aware of this. And they hired a firm, the Regional Transportation Commission. Well, at that time, the Las Vegas Transportation Commission hired a firm to come in and do the busing, the city buses citywide. And they said they needed a minority firm to write the insurance, and rest is history. We ended up writing 18 major transit systems. And I'm blessed to still be working with Mr. Hawkins and his team and insuring quite his businesses. And we expanded on that by joining associations and the National Minority Supplier and Development Council, Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, American Public Transit Association, where through those associations, we garnered transit business in cities and municipalities. And then we expanded into being able to do owner-controlled insurance programs when we were contacted by Willis Towers Watson as a referral from another minority agent who is one of the largest agents inducted into the Hall of Fame in NIA. And she referred us to them, and the rest is kind of history. We work with the Big Five nationwide now. doing a lot of different projects that we hire people on those projects. So kind of the quick snippet of how we got to where we are today. And then Katrina, owned her own business. We merged our firms, and the rest is kind of we're still building that history. How's that?
Absolutely. Oh, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back and unpack that because you know, we went from we got our minority business certification and we got 18 transit systems. So, so I need you to take me back. Okay, so you ended up you launched the firm. You got the certification. Now this is important because for minority women-owned firms, these are essentially certifications that you get. Like we have what's called SWAM in Virginia. These are certifications that you get so that if someone is looking for minority ownership or veteran ownership or woman ownership, they know that here is a firm that has that in place. And because of that, oftentimes with, let's say if they had a larger brokerage house or they have a contract, that contract has to have a portion of that contract allocated to one of those minority firms. How did you determine that that was a route? I know you said someone said you could do it, but when did it click for you that this was a route that you could utilize to start building not only a niche, but also a space that you could use as a launch pad to expand upon?
We were blessed, and I was truly blessed to be approached by, at that time, Congressman Cummings to work on the transportation brain trust. Okay,
this is why politics. This is why political.
This is why it worked. This is why it worked. And Congressman Clyburn, Congressman Cummings, we were working on the disadvantaged business education enterprise regulations to increase the spending and increase the goals on federal contracts. So there's a designated goal in your community based on the availability of those minority, women, Hispanic, Asian, whatever it may be. There are goals attached to federal contracts. And then you have the Fortune, 1000, where the NMSDC, National Minority Supplier and Development Council, where they have goals attached. And then you have women goals attached. So depending on who the buyer is, okay, and let's use, which county are you in? What's the county?
Chesterfield County.
Okay, so Chesterfield County, compared to their SWAM contract, Small Women and Minority Contract,
yep,
they have, based on the availability of those that have gotten certified in that county, their procurement people set a goal. And that goal goes, including professional services now, which is prior to way back before I started, there was no thought or process that insurance agents could do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Those things have now changed where you go get certified and there are specific classifications, right? For each entity says we have a goal for professional services. We have a goal for construction. We have a goal for knickknacks. Okay. And if you are certified and you're registered with that authority, you maybe have an opportunity to win that bid.
Yeah.
Or be bidding with the prime that comes to you and says, okay, Mr. Ross, there's an 8% goal. We'd like you to bid. And I say, okay, well, hold on. Give us a scope of work. We'll bid. If it meets your 8%, fine. But if it exceeds it, then, put us on the bid or not. That's really what I would recommend to people, is because we put ourselves in a box for so long. Oh, they got an 8% goal. Well, wait a minute. Did you bid on that scope? And does that scope mean that you are really 10% of the total cost? And are they willing to meet you? Or are you willing to go down and meet them at the 8% and lose money? So one of the things that we've learned is we no longer let them just send us and say, we're going to get, here's 8%, it's yours. No, wait a minute, hold on. And in particular, I can tell you, we have lost some money earlier when we didn't do that. So if I have a tip for everyone, that tip is when you see those RFPs or someone contacts you regarding that, so I got a 10% goal, we're gonna give you 10%. Oh, you're just gonna give it to me? I don't have to do any work? That would be your first comment.
Right.
Okay, so wait a second. So you're just gonna
You are
give
earning
me 10%, right? Wait, I don't have to do any work. And then they'll back off and they'll say, well, no, we want to give you. Okay, hold on. So you keep saying give me
Yeah.
versus letting me bid on this scope. If if I can fit into your 10%, fine. If it's 12%, are you willing to give me the additional 2% because that's what I'm pricing it at? Those are the things that I would recommend that as small business and minority businesses, that we no longer just accept what they give us, that you bid it properly. And you make, and another thing, Rod, I started asking the big boys, what's your net?
Hmm.
Are you netting 8%, 10%, 12%? What are you guys netting? And as your first tier, shouldn't we come close to what you're netting?
Hmm.
Then you really know if they want to do real business with you or if they're just trying to meet the goal.
Meet the goal. Meet
Right.
the goal.
And historically, that's what you're going to find.
Let's stay on this for a minute because this is important information here, and it's interesting as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So coming from your time at the Hartford, then you went and worked at the agency. At this point, you have experience as an underwriter. You've been in the industry. I say by '94. I mean, you've been in the business 12 years.
Correct.
When you launched your agency and you said, "Hey, we're going to take this approach," once you discovered, okay, if I utilize these my minority, I can use these minority certifications, and that can level. It doesn't listen. I just want to make this clear. It doesn't give an advantage. It just helps to level the playing field. Because if it wasn't there, hey, am I wrong? It might not even be a shot.
You are 1000% correct. Okay.
Levels.
Yes. Well, it attempts to.
It attempts to level it. So correct. For some people, because some people might think like, oh, well, if they got the minority contract, they got an advantage. You know, they're just getting preferential treatment. No. It's so that there's a degree of visibility there that would not even exist otherwise.
Well, Rod, one of the things that I'm learning, and as you know, DEI is under attack. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I've learned is to change the analogy of what you stated. And I said this to one of the senior VPs of one of the largest brokerage firms in the world. If you tax me, you should be representing me. Which means that if Chicago, you talking about goals that are 20 to 30%, and that's a set aside. I'm sorry, that's not a set aside. That means that underutilized businesses, meaning our businesses that are certified in those areas, can really make up what? 30% of the goal, because we're 30% of the tax base. So people are using this DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I use it as don't tax me without, representing me. Yeah. So if there is 40% of the community paying taxes that are minorities, 40% should be available for contracts because I'm paying taxes in that community.
Yep.
When we change that, it takes away the lawsuits. It takes away all of the things that are now trying to tear down diversity, equity, and inclusion. Where, by the way, here in this state that I reside in right now, there is no DE&I for any state university any longer. Gone. Florida, gone. But it's because of how the wording is.
Yep.
We've gone out and continued to say we are selling DE&I. No, we should be selling don't tax me without representing me. And if the community is made up of 30% minorities, then you should allow, and exactly like you just said. I mean, really, the balance is, if I'm going to pay that kind of money in taxes, then why is it not available that we get those kind of contracts?
There you go. So when you're stepping in 12 years, and I know I went off a little bit. I'm gonna come back. Mm-hmm. Did you feel like, okay, you go in, you get the certification, you end up, you land this this transit authority, did you feel like, okay, I got enough experience, I'm prepared for this? Were you nervous about it, being that it was coming from your firm versus another entity? What were your thoughts around that going in?
We were blessed to have advocates like you and I have discussed in the past about being advocates for our people, right? For people that really look like us, right? That are not able to advocate for themselves. And we had an advocate that said, okay, wait a minute. Not only are they going to help us meet a goal, but they do great work, not good work, because they have to do great work.
Right.
We got good pricing, and they service us better than anyone has because they're hungrier. And it doesn't that sound like you, Rod? Doesn't that sound like most of us in the industry is we have to be hungrier because we don't get that. We have to be. Okay. And I think the biggest issue that I've had in now 30 years in business and 40 years in the industry is don't put me in that box.
Yeah.
And they try to put us in that box that this is all we can do. Okay. Just these last 2 years, we've reimagined with the leadership of Katrina of alternative items we can put in our portfolio.
Yeah.
Auditing, risk management, loss control surveys, in-person open enrollment meetings, hiring people in those communities that look like us to learn a trade. They can be enrollers. Three guys we work with in Las Vegas. Oh, I need to go get my license.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Change it. Change that mindset and know that there are so many things. Rod, you and I talk about this. Gentlemen of Insurance talk about this all the time. There's so many variety of things we can do in this industry that you can make a living, but you can also assist and help other people.
Yeah.
And you look at it. Look what you do. What you guys do. What we all do is, at the end of the day, somebody is better off because we've educated them on insurance. Yeah, we make a living on it. But at the end of the day, educating and training people that these products are what you should buy to protect you and your kids, you and your company, you and your neighborhood is really what we're supposed to do as licensed individuals, licensed property casualty, licensed life and health, whichever one you are. It's not just a job. It isn't. And I learned that. I've learned that a lot in the last 5 years, for sure.
Yeah. I would say that the value that we add, to individuals, families, and businesses and community is on par with what lawyers bring, what doctors bring, engineers, architects, whatever, educators,
For sure.
On par with the exact same level of professionalism, expertise that's required, and impact. Because if you do it right, it's going to go well. But if you do it wrong, it's going to be a problem, just like anybody.
Hit it on the head with that one, Rod. That's something that people don't get. People don't get that okay, so Rod, we have to hold a license. We have to go and get the CEs. We have to do the same thing attorneys do. We have to do the same thing auditors do, bookkeepers. We have not book CPAs, okay? And then our continuing education, you have to stay up with it. Yep. So having a professional designation, I mean, you go out and you get your license, but then you add professional designations mean you're still educating yourself on this industry continuously. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if there's too many other professions like we're talking about that every year you have to take CEs or every 2 years, depending on the state. So yeah, I'd have to agree with you wholeheartedly that our profession is right there along with the other professions when you have to have a professional designation or degree.
Yeah. A couple of times in this conversation, you mentioned the Gentleman of Insurance, which I was invited to via Kareem Cade, who was another friend, man, just amazing, brother in the industry.
Amazing little brother of mine, my amazing little brother.
I was with Kareem this weekend. Oh my!
I heard it.
I've been around Kareem before. We spent time. he's been a guest,
Right.
on the platform too. But
Right.
this weekend, oh my goodness, he had me rolling. We
Well, we hit it off the moment I met him. I met him, and he's been my little brother ever since. He's helped me with bringing you on, bringing other people on, and he's I call him my mini me
yeah,
because he's just his mindset. Okay, it's helping. It's helping people. It's garnering the ability to help people. And
yeah.
people don't really understand something about people in insurance. You have to really like this.
You have
Okay.
to stick around.
Yeah,
To stick around, you better.
have to really like this.
Yeah,
And Rod, our group in Gentlemen of Insurance, as we grow and continue to grow, one of the great things was those kids we sponsored to come to NAIA and being in that room listening to their stories. Man, matter of fact, I walked out the room and I said, "Oh, we in good hands. We in good hands. If they coming out of there and Gozy and her team and what they're doing with those kids, man, it's and I'm gonna call them kids, young gentlemen, young ladies that aspire to do and be in this industry, we're in good hands, especially coming from where I saw that group when we were at NAIA.
I
And
love it.
I'm just blessed that we were able to sponsor those young men to come to that event, and looking forward to the next time we can continue and grow it and get more.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know we went off to show love to Kareem and everything, but I was
Right.
mentioning gentlemen in insurance so you could share, tell me a little bit about, I mean, I know I'm in it, but like for the
Right.
listeners, what is
Right.
it in insurance? Kind of what's the thought process behind it, and what are the initiatives, that the group is working on collectively?
We I'm going to say it was an idea I had out of NIA when I was meeting with some people at the first conference. And I'm ashamed to say that my first NIA was last year after all these years in the industry. But we've been members here in the North Texas chapter 4 or 5 years since we've been here. But that was my first NIA. And I'm proud to say I'm a member of NIA. I'm proud to say that we are able to do those things. The Gentlemen of Insurance came out of that as a networking group for us to all meet. It started with 6. Now we're up to 26.
Mhm.
Okay, and growing, and people wanting to join. And the networking group with the branches, with Matt, you, with Kareem, Ralph Wise, all of our total, our head committee, or not head, our committee leadership, all of us have input. And I might be the founder and the starter of it, but the thing that I love about it is all of our ideas that come together, and what we're working on is to really do what you're doing with your podcast, Rod. And why one of the reasons why I wanted to be here was to engage and show people what kind of life we can live in this industry,
Yeah,
how we can help people in this industry.
yeah,
And really, I think we're just scratching the surface of what Gentlemen of Insurance are going to do. Okay,
absolutely.
I'm gonna hold off on some ideas. I know you have some. I know some of the people involved. And in our infancy, I'm very proud of the group that we've surrounded ourselves with, because none of us are selfish. And by having someone to say and recommend you into our group, that gives accountability to those people that say, I'm gonna bring you in here. You need to know who you're coming to meet with, and
Yeah,
you need to bring something to the table with this group. So our networking group is growing. My vision, and I think you've shared this with me before, is how do we put in place to grow our industry, to help our kids, our young kids, learn about it, but at the same time, how we can cross sell together, how we
mhm,
can do joint ventures together, and how we can grow in our group, and not only just grow the group, but grow to do good things in our communities. Think about this, Rod. We reached the country with those 26 individuals, right? We now have created something in less than a year of business owners,
mhm.
right? Just like Ngozi's doing with Black Friday. We now have business owners that we can take in and say, okay, we got market share. Remember that word, right? Remember that, right? Market share on a national basis with owners of businesses that we could take to what? Carriers.
Yeah.
Take to the group benefit carriers. We can take to the individual life insurance carriers. We can take to the P&C carriers and wholesalers and brokers and say, as a group, we'd like to have appointments. By the way, we could do $6 million in revenue with you. Those are the things that I'm wishing for. Okay. Yeah. That we take that group to that level. And really, my thought process is not just make money off of it, but educate and train young kids as to what we've doing and what we've gained through insurance.
Yeah. And shoot, I mean, and make money off of it, because
and make money off.
The reality is like, as we're educating and grooming that next generation, this creates a pipeline for them to come up and have a financial foundation that, for many of us, we never had or knew existed.
Right. Rod, I said something, and you know this already. When we go into these schools and we tell these kids, okay, it's good you go to college, not telling you not to go to college. But when you turn 18, if you go get your insurance license, in most states, you go get your insurance license, you just passed the test to graduate high school. You just passed this law test or whatever, this math test. If you study to get an insurance license and you get it at 18, okay, you're going to make money.
Boom. You can be doing it through college.
And thank you. And you can actually be a licensed agent or work as a rater, work as an underwriter, work as a claims adjuster, okay, while you're in college. Hey, pay for that extra money, okay? And Rod, one of the other things we're discovering, Fisk now has an insurance program, right? HBCU is looking at this. So we must be doing something right if we're now setting up programs for our children to now be educated onto not just the careers, right, but how they help others. See, everybody thinks insurance is just you getting paid. Well, I'm sorry, you and I both just talked about how, no, we benefit, yes. I'm not going to joke about that. It is a good paying job. However, the benefits far outweigh that because we educate and train people as to the products and services that are going to benefit them.
Listen, it's the socioeconomic base of any community, and really of this entire country. So listen, 40 years in the biz, 40 years in at this point, you're running your firm, you're still growing, still doing great things. I mean, even expanding into gentleman insurance, helping to build new pipelines, creating collaborations across the country, laying groundwork for those who are coming after us. How you stay motivated now,
Wow, that's a good question. My motivation now has come from seeing our kids wanting to do this and to leave a legacy. You're going to have me crying here for a second here, Rod, but look, leaving a legacy is a big thing for anybody. Yeah. Okay. And to be able to say 30 years in the industry and have people say, oh, we want to buy your agency. Well, you can't buy this agency because we're leaving a legacy because our kids are going to be taking over this or starting their own, and we will roll this into theirs. So, and we are, our kids already have ideas about their own, right? And starting their own. And we have created an atmosphere with them that what we're discussing is it's not just an income, it's helping people too.
Yeah.
And being able to create legacies outside of our own family to help people understand why you need to have and be properly insured. And that's a big key for us. If you look at our website, that is one of the things we make sure we emphasize. You can go buy insurance anywhere, but are you properly insured? Yep. Do you have the right coverages in place to make sure that if something happens, okay, you're covered? Not just car insurance, liability insurance, but do you have the right coverages in place? And having a checklist, and this is where Katrina comes in with her knowledge from the brokerage side, stock brokerage side, and being able to do whole life and things like that, and educating and training. And that's what I've learned really in the last 5 years. Rod, when Kareem first met Katrina, he said the first question, okay, so Herman said he's going to be retiring in the next 2 years. And she said, and then what? He going to die? He works to our, no, he got plenty of years, at least to 70. Okay. So he still tells that joke when he first met Katrina. The first thing he asked was, Herman said he's going to retire at 67. She goes, what? And then die? No, he's going to be working till he really can't work anymore. And I'm happy with that. I'm really, I'm not set to retire yet. I have more to do. I have more to do, and more to educate more people to make sure that they know about this industry, just like you do. Like you're teaching people about this. When I met you and I saw that podcast, you should get a license. It just resonated with me, and I'm just thankful and blessed that you were able to have me on your show.
Absolutely. Look, no, we're blessed to have you and just have this moment, encapsulated and have it available for people to hear and really just get all the gems that you're dropping in this conversation. I do want to know, as we start to round the corner, two questions actually. One, how do you feel like? Well, I mean, shoot, it's always been a part of your adult life. So, I mean, how do you feel like having a license, working in this industry has shaped you as a person? And then at this point, in your career, what's the dream now? Like, what's the end game for you now? We won't be retiring in the next couple of years. So what is it?
Right. Well, my wife says I retire. I'm semi-retired now because I golf so much. And I said, oh, no, don't even say that. But the end game is really to see this go into our kids. Yeah. Katrina's, younger than me. And I know that at some point in time, our plan is to retire and to have our place somewhere else. Okay. But realistically, if I could be here to see them take over and take it to a whole nother level, then that's a wish of mine, is to be around long enough that now I'm fully retired. I'm golfing 5 days a week instead of 3. So,
18 holes every day.
That's what I'm talking about. Shoot an 80 when I'm 80. That's what I'm talking.
That's not retired. I don't even know if I consider that retired.
My wife says that all the. She says that you already work. You work at golf instead of working. But that would be one of the main things that I'm looking forward to, the transition for them to come in and do what they do, and having them want to follow in our footsteps. That just tells you we're doing something right.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I think to make your last point here, Rod, this is becoming more satisfying. The older I get, I'm becoming more satisfied with what we do and what we've done.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is that our job's not done yet. We're not complete. We're not finished with things we want to learn and teach.
Yeah. So let's say at this point, I want to kind of hear from you any guidance like you might give. Let's say there's someone who's new in the business. They're finding their way. Maybe it's somebody who's listening, to the conversation, and they're not in the industry, but they're considering it. Maybe they've been hearing some things about it. Maybe they, a friend, or maybe they just saw, hey, you should get a license. What's this about? Let me check it out. And they've listened to the conversation. They've heard your story and everything that you've accomplished, which I'm telling y'all. I mean, I know he talking about adding value and helping people. Yes, he does. But listen, Mr. Ross is paid, okay, and you can be paid too.
Amen.
Into the business and do something significant. But what would you tell somebody coming into this or considering coming into this industry, just kind of as some guidance or wise words?
Do your research. You have no clue as to all of the things that you can do in insurance. So you don't like being inside. You don't want to work at a desk. Okay. How would you like to go out and inspect how would you like to own your firm that goes to locations and inspects buildings,
Mhm.
that knows about what fire resistant buildings are? How would you like to go into an office and say, hey, let me see your books, not as an accountant, but as an insurance auditor, and audit the books based on someone paying you to go in and audit insurance? How would you like to be an underwriter that works on accounts, okay, that are 80 stories high, and you might have to do and check and make sure that the sprinklers are working properly? I mean, there's so many different things that we can do in this industry that you really don't have to worry about sitting at a desk. You don't have to worry about being immobile or not. You can do anything. Anybody can do something in insurance. If you feel that you have a mindset of numbers, think about this. Rating an insurance policy. People don't realize that you can go in and you can just, that can be your job. So the agent brings it in to Hartford. The Hartford underwriter looks at it. The Hartford underwriter sends it to the rater. The rater rates the policy, sends it back. You're never seen, but you are heard, okay, because you have rated the policy properly, okay? Right now, we have kids that are 17, 16, that are juniors or seniors in high school, that are contemplating paying $50,000 a year to go to college, right? Okay, and may not get a scholarship. But if you are 18 years old and you turn 18 and you get a license in this industry, somebody will pay you to do part-time work well beyond what you ever thought. Starting salaries right now, starting salaries out of college, $59,000 for an apprentice program at any of the insurance companies.
Yeah.
If you can hear my voice right now, I would suggest you go and you look at classified ads for insurance jobs and see what the salaries are before you make a decision if you want to spend 50 grand a year to go to college. And I'm not saying college is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. If you have aspirations of going to college and getting that degree because your parents did it and you want to have that degree, you can still do that. What I'm suggesting is that you research this industry, because this industry can be very, very fruitful, and it can be rewarding because you are helping people every day.
Mhm.
Everyone that you come in contact with, you are really assisting them either with their life insurance, their liability insurance, their property insurance, to make sure that they, you know what insurance is sleep at night.
Mhm.
I tell people you get to sleep good at night because you know you're properly insured, that you paid that premium for a reason, to protect you and your family, your house, your car, your company. So those are the things that I would say. Realistically, I would hope that people understand this industry is not just underwriting. It's not just claims. It's beneficial to everybody that's in it, but more importantly, for those that do the right thing and teach it the right way. And it's not just about them. It's not just they're trying to make money. And Rod, I know you know a lot of people in the industry. I would say that only maybe 1% of those people are really in it for themselves. That most of us that are in the
Yeah.
industry are really trying to help others.
True.
We get paid, yes. But at the same time, if we're honest and truthful and we effectively provide the product that they need to protect their interest, their insurance, we are doing the right thing every day. And
Absolutely.
that's what I would kind of look at us as. Not superheroes, not anything like that. We're behind the scenes, but our job is to really provide protection and sleep to those that purchase our products.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you mentioned, both sides of the path, because you've been on both sides of the house. You've been on the corporate side, you've been on the entrepreneurial side. So you know what it looks like on both sides. And I'm glad that you have spoken and shared from both perspectives, because sometimes people just have a linear view of what it's going to look like if they kind of come in. Sometimes they think the only way to get in is being an agent. That's not true. You can come in on the corporate side, you can come in on the corporate side, move to the agent side. You can start on the agent side, move to the corporate side. You have a lot of different roads that you can travel in this space. Mr. Ross, for someone who listens to this conversation, they want to get in contact with you. They want to reach out. They want to learn more about NCIC for the incorporated. I'll make sure I got that on there. How do we reach you? How do we connect with you?
So if you go to our website, which is www.NICI-insure, that's NICI insure, INSURE.com, or you can reach me at HR@NICI Insure, National Insurance Consultants Incorporated. It's interesting because my firm was originally called Nevada Insurance Consultants. Won a contract in Denver and got down there, and the lady said, I think you need to change your name, young man. You can't come to Denver talking about Nevada Insurance Consultants. And it's a simple change by making it national. And I said, done. And that day we went and filed to change our name to National Insurance Consultants. So that's where you get the NICI. Our 800 number is 800-689-2698. Or you can call the office at 702-696-9586. And Rod, before you sign off, I want to thank you for having me and having our firm here. Sorry that the brains of the operation, the wife couldn't be on because I know she would be first here for you.
No, we'll get her here.
No, yeah. I know you will. I know you will. But again, thank you so much. And I just want to say, continue doing the great things you're doing. And I really appreciate you being part of the Gentlemen of Insurance.
Absolutely. Hey, glad to be honored and privileged to be, as a matter of fact, and honored and privileged to even know you and have the opportunity to speak with you and learn from you and, get that mentorship from you kind of in a one-on-one basis and being able to converse. And then trust me, there's more of that to come. So I don't think that you're off the hook because you were on the platform,
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that.
But listen, I hope that maybe if you were listening to this whole conversation, that you were maybe able to take some notes, maybe put some bookmarks. You could save some of this, go back, listen to it, reach out to Mr. Ross, him and his wife. What they have built and accomplished is nothing short of just inspiring and astounding, and just an example of not just Black excellence, but just excellence in the marketplace. And hopefully in your journey to excellence, you heard something in this conversation that makes you say along the way, maybe you should get a license. Till next time, take care. Peace.